Hello and welcome to another episode of Wannabe Entrepreneur, the podcast about what's really like to bootstrap a company. Today I have Lucie here with me. Hey Lucie, how are you?
Hi, Tego. I'm very fine. I'm very good. And you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much for joining and getting the time to speak with me and speak with the Wannabe Entrepreneurs here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You are the co-founder of Logology.
Mm-hmm.
You are the partner of Dagobert, both in business and in life, right? You
Mm-hmm.
are
Yes.
husband and wife, and it's really cool because I when I spoke with him, I always about Logology. I always felt that there was, this other part because he mentioned
Mm-hmm.
you many times, and there was this other part of the business that I was missing out, which was kind of the most artistic part. So, Lucie, you are a designer, you are an artist.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote a lot of book, or you already two books, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yes, and I also have a radio show here in the north of France. But
Yeah,
you can hear it in podcast, but it's in French. I have to say,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
about it's about women in the history of pop music from
Wow, that's
the
cool.
50s, from the 50s.
Hmm.
Until today, yeah, it's cool. I'm a Janis Joplin fan, to be honest, and so my
Yeah,
first book already was about this because I went to the United States 10 years ago to follow the steps of Janis Joplin.
yeah. I was reading about it actually when
Yeah.
I was doing a little research about
Yeah.
you, and that was very interesting, and we'll definitely talk about it. From
Hmm.
your own words, I would ask you to introduce yourself to the listeners. Who is
Yes.
Lucie?
So my name is Lucie Baratte. I am a graphic designer, specialized in visual identity, logo type, logo design, and brand design. I've been doing this job for more than 15 years. I do enjoy being a graphic designer in logo design. I used to be specialized in typography. I'm not doing in a lot of typography or type design now, but
Hmm.
I used to do in the past. And I am also a writer. I made a lot of fanzine books, small books in the
Hmm.
past. And after I published two books. The first one was autobiographical,
Right? Yeah.
about my trip following the steps of Janis Joplin in the United States. And the second one is a novel. It's a gothic novel inspired by dark fairy tales, and it's
Yeah.
inspired by bluebird stories. And I am actually trying to wrote another one. Like, I hope I could finish it for the end of next year. It's very long to write a novel, and I like to take
Yeah, I
my
can
time. And
imagine.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
also a radio show animator. I created a show on the radio called Rebelle Rebelle. Like,
Hmm.
it's a reference to David Bowie's songs called Rebel Rebel, but
Hmm.
in French it's Rebelle Rebelle, and it's about women in the history of pop music.
When did that started? Your, this passion for creation and for the artistic fields. Do you know? Can you
Oh,
pinpoint it when
yes,
it started?
yes. Oh, it's a very, very old memory. When I was 7, I was in school. We were studying a book about Claude Monet, who's a French painter.
Hmm.
And Claude Monet had a house in near Paris. And this house you can visit now. But he was fond of gardens, and each rooms of his house were decorated. So it was the story. The book I was studying when I was 7 with my classmates was
Hmm.
a book about a little girl who was going to this house and discovering the paintings of Claude Monet's and his house and garden. And I was fascinated by painting, by art, and by creation and imagination, and this idea of this little girl discovering the heart of a great artist, and also this idea of an artist making his own house and his own garden. Like, it was not just about the paintings, but about life. Like, it was like all his life was about making the world more beautiful, more interesting, more fun. It was so different from life.
Right.
And I was fond of books. So I wanted to be a writer when I was 9, and I wanted to make art when I was 12. I wanted to work in a museum. I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be a designer. First, I wanted to be a product designer. And when I was 19, I realized that I was so fond of typography that I would not be able to be a product designer, because I didn't need it so much to make objects and to make shapes in
Right.
3Ds, but actually to design, lines and drawings. I'm fond of the idea that drawing and designing are very close, and drawing and designing and writing are in the same
Right.
movement.
Yeah, because when I was researching about you, I saw that you call yourself a typographist, right? Or typographic designer, right?
Yes,
And I
yes.
didn't know this concept. So what is a typographic designer?
A type designer is someone who is designing new fonts, new
Oh,
letters. So I
that's
did
cool.
this in the
Okay.
past, yes, and I think
Are you the creator of Comic Sans?
no, I'm not, but I know the story, and I think it's a very funny story and very interesting one, because what I love with typography, and I think that it is completely related to logo design, it's this idea of symbolism.
The study of symbols.
Yes, it's the study of symbols and signs. I'm not sure it's the good word in English, but I think it is. I know that sign in English can be, the signing you have in front of a shop or a store, but it's not
Right. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. I'm just talking about,
Symbols and
symbols.
right.
Yeah, symbols and icons. And in type design, you are looking at letters almost as symbols. So you are working on this idea of how can I express an idea with just a line, with just a shape, with an abstract shape. For example, like you were talking about Comic Sans, Comic Sans MS
Yeah.
is a font which is
Playful, right? Yeah.
yes, which is playful. Exactly, it's an imitation of comic books font design. So in comic books, it was always it used to be the sketch artist, or the person who is drawing, who is also doing the letters in the bubbles, in the speech bubbles. But in the 80s, with the revolution of computers,
Yeah.
font designer imagine how can we do this with
Yeah,
the
that's super
computers.
interesting. I've never thought
Yeah.
about it actually, but it's true. The font Comic Sans, and when you're talking about it, I immediately thought of the word playful,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
super interesting because you can write stuff, you can transmit a message with Comic Sans, you can
Yes.
write a book, you can write whatever you want, but you are writing it in a playful way
Yes.
just
Exactly.
by
And
using that font, right?
yes, exactly. And the story of the creation and the designing of Comic Sans MS is very interesting, because Vincent Connard, who was the designer of who is still alive, so who is the designer of the Comic Sans, was working for Microsoft in the
Right.
80s. And on Microsoft, you had like Times New Roman, Arial, or different kind of fonts like this. And there was a little dog on the on the on the desk to help
Yeah.
you, like, fun. It's fun, like you can have the dog talking to you and saying, hey, if you need help, you can do this, you can do that.
Ah,
And
right.
the
Yeah.
dog was talking with the Times New Roman font.
Mm-hmm.
And Vincent Connard thought it was completely out of the question that a small little fun dog would not speak in Times New Roman, but he would have a playful expression. So the letters had to be playful.
There's a question that I when I was preparing this interview, I thought, okay, you're I guess the perfect person to ask this question, because I ask this quite often, which is what is art? And it's a very life kind of philosophical question. But
Yes.
so, because the reason why I ask this is that when people say that, let's say, coding is art, right? So
Mm,
this person writes such an amazing code that is art, but
mm,
like for some
mm,
reason that I don't understand. Like for me, that's not art, and I try
mm,
to come up with an explanation or a definition of art.
mm,
But
mm,
before
mm.
I tell you to see if you agree, I want to see your definition. Like, do you have a definition for what art is?
It's a very interesting question, even if, like you said, it's a philosophical question, and I think we could speak about it for an hour, and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
we would not be, finding the truth with a capital T, with a
yeah.
capital T. But when somebody is saying this is art, actually what it is saying is that it is so full of um, of of um, of energy and of invention and 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 magic. When you say, well, this is art, it is like, I think art is about some kind of magic. It's like a power that we as human beings are
Mm-hmm.
able to handle and to put into things. It's a question of desire, a way to express emotions, to express beauty. It's a way to communicate, and it's a creation. And often we say in design schools, we learn that we are not, as designers, we are not artists, because it's not about what we want to express, what we have to say, but what the client or the customer has to say or wants to hear.
Exactly.
And it's about finding answer and resolving problems.
Mm.
But I don't completely agree. I don't completely agree with this, because I think that as a designer, and sometimes some people who are creating games, independent
Mm-hmm.
game
Mm-hmm.
creators are working like artists. Well, it's a thin line between craftsmanship. How is it? This
Craftsmanship. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
craftsmanship and art. And I think we put art in our craft, we put art in our design, but art is a much more biggest energy that
Yeah.
we can all experiment as a
Yes.
viewers or as creators.
Creators. Yeah, I
Mm.
think it kind of aligns on my conclusion, which is, for me, art is when an artist or when someone creates a feeling
Mhm.
intentionally, right? So let's take the example of Comic Sans.
Mhm.
The creator wanted to make a more playful font to match this dog speaking, right?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And he made
Exactly.
it. It is very playful, so he's transmitting this emotion, and the emotion is very interesting because you don't even notice when you look at it. You read it and you
Mm.
feel it, but you don't
Yeah.
you don't acknowledge it. And I think
Mm-mm.
that's what for me is art. It's when someone knowingly creates an emotion
Yes.
towards the person that observes it, right? So if I'm a coder, I might be very good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super good that people feel amazed when they read my code. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case. But if I was that, I'm still not an artist because I'm just very good, and people
Mm.
feel somehow attached what I write. But if I want to write code in the way to feel to make people feel, I don't know, confused, which is, I
Mhm.
guess, a bit easier for me, then I am an artist. I don't know. This is kind of what my definition.
Yeah, it's complicated, especially because I think actors are also tools for the creation. So it's very
Exactly. Yeah.
weird position. But if we go back to this idea of wow, this is art. To me, it's the same feeling like when you are looking for a craftsman or a craftwoman doing something so beautifully. It's not like you have a feeling of wow, it's so well done, but it's not art
It's a
because
craft. Yeah.
yeah, it's a craft. It's not the craftsman is not doing this in order to make you feel, I don't know, make you feel this. He's
Yeah.
doing
True.
this in order to make the perfect violin in the world, who
Yeah.
will be used by somebody, a musician, who maybe will do art with this.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I guess we agree
yeah.
then in the
Yeah,
definition.
I guess. But as I said, I think we could speak of
Yeah.
this like an
For
hour.
hours, for sure.
And
Yeah. And
yeah,
everyone has
so
different opinions here. To do a little bridge to logology, let's go through the process of making a logo, because when I was speaking with Dagobert, he told me that you also built a lot of or designed a lot of logos
yes.
previously, and they can be very expensive also because it takes a lot of time, a lot of
Hmm.
effort for you to
Hmm.
design.
Hmm.
What is the process of for you to design a logo?
When I'm designing a logo, I think I know it can be weird, but when I'm designing a logo, I feel like I'm doing the same like when I'm writing a novel, is going back to something very ancient in the hearts of human being, is about what is about understanding the world we are living in. And when
Okay.
human beings in the prehistoric time wanted
Mm-hmm.
to understand the world around them, they needed symbol and symbology to uh, order the chaos around them, you
Mm-hmm.
see. So to design a logo, I need to go back to very powerful symbol. I'm looking for powerful symbols that will be the first ideas, concepts that I will work around. I'm going to take an example.
Mm-hmm.
Before I create Logology, I was doing only custom logos. And in this case, somebody would come to me and say, okay, so this is my project, and how can you help me create the best brand identity design? And I said, okay, we need to go first on what do you want to express through your project? What is this project? Who are you talking to? And what is your the personality of your project. And
Right.
after that, we need to begin with the logo. We need to begin with this first very powerful symbol that will say, hey, hi, it's me. It's really like a signature. It's really like a suit you will wear to go
Mm-hmm.
on an Oscar ceremony awards. You will need to have your best outfits. I take some keywords. I begin with the words and I take the keywords. Like, for example, on logology, we have a different kind of personality of persona. So I
You do a
designed,
survey, right? And then people
yes, you
you
have a
can
survey.
determine the personality of the brand,
Yes,
right? Mm-hmm.
exactly. So you go for us, you just, well, yeah, exactly. You have a survey and there is different kind of personalities. And we have, for example, the kind personality. So the question was, how can I design kind logo designs, kind logos? What is a kind
Yeah.
logo? Would be warmth, would be welcome, would be about care, caring, tenderness, maybe, all these words. And I will imagine what kind of symbol can I look for. So I imagine comfy shapes, nurturing shapes. So I went back to this idea of organic shapes that would look like sometimes eggs or protective circles, or to go back to the nest when you have a bird who's taking care of his little ones. All these ideas, and I design all these ideas like this, and that's the first draft.
Right.
And after that, it's working to get the most purer. Well, I'm not sure it's a good word in English, so I'm going to look for another one. But
how do you say it in French?
La ligne la plus pure. It's like perfection. I'm looking for a perfect design, perfect shape. Sometimes the word perfection can be frightening. I love it. And when you are designing a letter, when you are a type designer, you have to make the best shape you can. You have to look for this perfection. It's like a sculpture, because otherwise it would not be legible, it would not be readable.
For us developers, I guess most of us never thought of that in the process of making a logo, because it makes total sense for me, what you're just saying. But for us, making a logo is okay. I even risk to say that many of us don't think that having a good logo is that important. We just just whatever, write the name of the brand in Comic Sans, and you're fine. But so what you do is you try to get you try to get into words what that brand means, and then you try to get these words into a symbol that transmits an emotion.
Exactly.
And this emotion matches. Okay.
Yeah, you summed up it perfectly. I'm sorry, sometimes I go to too much technical words, but actually I'm so passionate about this. I know that many people don't care about logo design. They don't think it's important. And in a way, I think they are right. Logo design is certainly not going to
be the number one priority.
To heal the COVID, to heal from COVID, stuff like this. Yeah, of course. But from my perspective, logo design is such a superpower, because you can express so many things. I was a graphic designer, and I began to be a little bit known in my area, that I was doing brand identity design, and I was kind of good at it. So I had a lot of people calling me and saying, "Hi, I want to have a new brand identity. Can you do this?" And I was just like, "Wow, your project sounds so great, but yeah, your budget is too tight. Like it's not like, it's just impossible."
What is the budget? What would be
the budget for just the logo from custom, just the logo was between 2,000 and 3,000 euros. So of course, when you're just beginning and trying a new project, you don't have 2,000 or 3,000 euros to make a brand identity, and it's completely understandable. And I was like, wow, it's sad, because her project or his project is very good, very interesting. He doesn't have the budget, but I'm sure there is something to do. And it would not have sense. It would not be clever to spend so much money on a logo design, even if I think that logo design will save the world eventually. I'm aware that it's not for today. So I didn't have solution for them, and I could just say, well, maybe you should try something by yourself on the internet, or if you have a friend. But I thought I knew it would not be.
It shouldn't be a good result.
Yeah, it would not be a good result. So this is the first thing when I thought, maybe I can find a solution. And the second thing is that I noticed when I was working with clients that there always was a problem with this message. that what do we want to express and how we will express it. I needed to have more a chat with the clients and
Right.
go to create that different ways to find this message. So I was very interested in design thinking, and I thought I should use the techniques of design thinking in the logo design and do something that no other graphic designers that I knew were doing, is to make workshops with my clients and create the logos in some ways together. So I imagine these workshops in order for the clients to understand what we were going to do, and for me to be sure that I understood exactly what we were going to say. What do we need to say? I really needed to have the perfect keywords so I could
Right.
make the perfect design. And when we were on honeymoon with Dagobert, we met each other in a co-working 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And since then, we all always thought about how great it could be to work together, to do our own thing. And sometimes we thought, oh, yeah, there is no good logo solution on the internet. Maybe we can do something with this. And we went on. We get married in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and we went on honeymoon, and we were in the United States because we love United States, and music, because it was also a musical trip.
Right.
And we were watching TV in the hotels, and we saw an episode of Shark Tank, and we began to where we were laughing and looking at this, and we went on the internet and we discovered that one of the founders of Logojoy was one of the participants, one of the people who went on the Shark Tank. And just we began to dig in this and saw that there was actually a market for
Mm-hmm.
logo on the internet. And we thought, so we could imagine something different. We could create something that would be meaningful and beautiful and affordable. And so we began to be very excited with this idea. And when the in the
Right.
airplane going back to France, I was already designing the ideas.
That's so cool. The fact that you came up with the idea in your honeymoon.
Yes, it's so
That's so
funny.
interesting. So I guess you were already kind of bouncing ideas even before you both like the indie maker scene, and
Mhm.
then you had this problem, and you knew that there was this problem, that it was very hard to make good logos in an affordable way
Yeah.
for new brands and bootstrappers, etc.
Mhm.
And you came up then with this idea of
Mhm.
automating you, right? You kind of created an
Mm.
automation of Lucy,
Yes, exactly.
of the Lucy process, a process
Yes,
that is also your own.
yes,
So you created this process based on
yes.
design thinking,
Yeah.
and you were in the plane. You're saying that you already. So what? How did you split the tasks? Like how did you organize yourselves to build the first MVP?
It was quite easy because I was the graphic designer, so we already knew that I was the one who were going to make some research so about how can we automate it, me. And it's
Mhm.
exactly what you sum up. It's just a little robot of me.
Yeah,
But I needed to think like a project web designer,
exactly.
and Dagobert is better than me in this area. So it was very interesting to work with him, because even if I had some ideas and I knew how to do some things, he could help me being more to sum up a little bit, to synthesize, or to get rid of ideas too complicated, and just to try to make something that would be a MVP. First, I was thinking of, the Etsy communities. community. I thought, well, there are a lot of creators of jewelry had called me for logos and didn't have the budget, so maybe we should go first to design jewelry logos and all the logos that an Etsy creator would need. But Dagobert dig in this and say, no, there is not enough people, or there is not enough budget. So Dagobert was the one who were looking for I would say more the business model.
Right.
And I was the one who was looking for automation. How can we just automate something that is so precise?
So you're trying to see which target group would be the best for your automation process.
Yes.
For your process.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So you thought that the Etsy creators and jewelry makers, etc. You thought that would be a good target. Why did you think that?
Yeah, we thought about this because so many people called me because they wanted a brand identity design and they were creators. I thought that maybe the target would be large enough.
Right.
But eventually it was not. So we asked a few friends, and I have a dear friend who created, he made his own business in biotechnology. And so he explained to us how complicated it was for him to have a brand identity, and that it was a friend who designed a logo in the end because they didn't have money and they didn't know how to do. So after that, we decided, maybe biotechnology would be an interesting target. Well, eventually it's not. I think it's maybe the worst
it's very niche, right?
In all the digital bootstrapped company. Like biotechnology is the smallest, but it's fun because I design so many logos on biotechnology. I think not all of them are on the website actually for the moment. Even for the moment, they are not there. But we had to try different solution.
So you're thinking on multiple target groups, you're designing possible logos for these groups.
Yes,
is it?
Exactly. Okay. So each group, at some point, we thought, okay, we need to work for startups and bootstrappers and indie hackers and makers. And this is the people that we want to work for and that could be interested.
But it's very hard for you, right? Because now if you choose bootstrappers can do anything, right? Like you have people building financial support products, people making podcasts, people making whatever apps, climate change apps. I don't know. There's so like a huge spectrum of possibilities. How many logos did you actually design?
Well, actually, Dagobert made a lot of research in the first place for me, like compiling in every activities, all the different kind of, in every sectors, he was compiling every activities and different kind of websites and already existing brand identities. So we made a list, like finance technologies, clean technologies, biotechnologies, agro technologies, every aspect, productivity, messaging, and each time I was going to Product Hunt, for example, and looking at the list of projects and just learning about what kind of activity they were doing, what kind of service they were providing.
How long did it take for you to design all the logos necessary for the first launch?
I think the first version of Logology, there were just maybe 50, 70 maybe logos on the platform. So it's not that much if you imagine all the possibilities, the different message you would like to express. So at some point, we thought. I remember it was something that Dagobert said. He said to me, "Well, it would be so great if we could have logos that will be useful for any kind of sectors,
Right. More
and
generic
could be,
logos.
yes, not generic in order to be like something you've seen already on the internet, but generic in the message. And that's
Right.
how we came with this idea of persona.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we have, because in the first place the persona were just the font and the colors choice, but it
Right.
was not a logo design stuff. And I thought about this and I say, hey, but I can do this. I can make logos for kind personality. I can make logo for reliable personalities and
Right.
visionary personalities. And I began to work a lot on these ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it it took I think to have the first draft. It took a year
A
to have the
year.
first. Yeah. Well,
In
I
the
was
meantime, were you working on something else, or were you
yeah.
doing full time?
That's why I think, because I was not just only doing logology. I was working for logology only 2 or 3 days a week. On
Mm-hmm.
the other part of the week, I was teaching design or teaching
Okay.
typography in college.
Oh,
I
cool.
was still taking some works
Right.
to get some money,
Yeah.
or I was writing my book that was
Mm-hmm.
published last year.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah, but yeah, it took a while. I always thought from the beginning. I remember even in 2018, I thought we can't release until we have a thousand logos. I wanted 1,000 logos, do I, but yeah, it was ambitious. And now we have 750
Wow,
logos. Yeah,
that's
it's a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, but I have so much sketches. The logos that are on the website are actually,
700.
yeah.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
designed so many logos, Thiago, so many logos. Yeah, I love to do
It's
this.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
you
to do
you
it.
you you need to love it. I mean, 700 logos. I completely love it. And tell me. So you launched, and
Mhm.
what were your expectations when you launched? Did you think, okay, I'll get rich now, or do you think no one would use it? What were your expectations?
I had mixed feelings because I I began to work mostly on logology and not to do other things, and just teaching and writing beside at the end of 2018.
Hmm.
And we released the beta version of logology in 2020, so last year. And in the first year, I was very enthusiastic. I really thought we were going to be rich.
Yeah.
We will be able to take vacation in
Yeah.
Miami very soon. Completely naive. Well, it's a good thing to be naive and enthusiastic in the first place, because otherwise, I'm not sure I would have done this. You
Yeah.
see,
It's a lot of
it's
work. Yeah.
so hard afterwards. It's been so hard, and I'm completely different from Dagobert on this point, because Dagobert is very tenacious. He's working so hard, like he's working all the time, but he really do love it. He does
Yeah.
love it. There is no problem for him, and I'm very like I more have like ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and
Mhm.
downs, but I never gonna give up. So I'm never gonna give up. But sometimes I really have downs and lows, and so at the end of 2019, I began to realize that it would be more complicated
Yeah.
than I expected, because everything is taking much more time than I imagined.
Mhm.
And when we launch our MVP and our beta, I just wish it would be okay. I really
Mhm.
do wish it would be okay. At this time, I was without money. Well, very, very low money.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very hard. So I wish it could work. And I thought, if it would be so great if it could work.
Did
But
it
it
work?
didn't. It didn't.
So what happened?
um, I, I was very stressed. I was not so low. I was not like depressed in the first
Yeah, yeah,
place,
yeah.
but I was very stressed.
So you didn't get any views. You didn't get any purchases.
We had purchases and we had some views, but obviously it was not enough to make a living. And I thought,
Yeah,
well, imagine if I really think we need 1,000 logos, we need more logos. I need time. It will take time. How can I take this time if I don't make money? So how
exactly.
can I create
Yeah.
an MVP? And it's not just about the logo. In my perspective, the logo is the beginning of something, but I wish, and it's been a year that I want this, and we are working on this to provide all brand design supplies and
Mm-hmm.
everything that can help to create your own landing page and business cards and stuff.
Mm-hmm. How
So yeah,
how does that stress affects you as a couple, you and Dagobert? Because I can imagine. I totally understand this stress because I'm going through the same. My partner, she has a job, and she kind of doesn't fully get it. I mean, she
mm,
has, unfortunately, she has to listen to me complaining about it, but she really gets it. I mean, she has a different thing, but imagine, I cannot imagine being both of us. So in this case, both of you in the same. It can be really hard to get out of this bubble and start, and can be also really easy to start spiraling. So how did this affect you as a couple?
it's very difficult to be just the two of us. But in the same movement, it's so great to be just the two
Yeah,
of us, because the trust you have with your partner, the love you share, the ambition you share, we know each other. I think, yeah, I know Dagobert, and he knows me more than anyone in the world.
yeah.
I'm more open to him. I can tell him everything. I don't have limits
Filters.
to
Yeah.
express what I feel. So I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we also had to learn how to separate uh, our anxiety or our stress with work. And I would say even the good thing from our relationship as a couple,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise it's all the time, like we are having dinner and we talk about
Exactly.
this,
Yeah,
and
I can
yeah, we in
imagine.
the morning when we wake up and we sometimes we see how someone bought a logo this
Yeah.
night, and we are so happy. It's just like two kids, and it's so great to live this together. I think it's pretty much,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like we were like just Frodo and Sam on in Mordor. We
Yeah.
have a mission and we go through all this together. So
It's so
in
funny.
a way, yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I know. I
it,
feel I feel the same. Like when I get a member on my podcast or in my co-working space or something, and someone joins, and they basically they become members, so they pay like every month to be part of it,
Mhm.
and it feels so great. It's like
Yeah,
the best feeling ever. Like, oh my god, I made it. And then
yeah.
after a while, I think, okay, but they are only paying 4 euros a month, so this won't pay the bills. But like, there's like a fraction of second, or like even more, where I get super happy, and I can totally relate to what you just said. And
Yeah.
and then things recently for you started to change, right? So
Yes.
marketing, you started investing more in marketing. Dagobert became the meme lord, uh, uh, which also helped. And now, how are things? Are you already making a
Yeah.
living? Can you live out of it?
Well, not exactly, but very, very soon. And we are so excited about this. And one good thing about this experience of creating logology and working together is that we had this opportunity to know each other better. as individual and as a couple. And I discovered that Dagobert was the king of the meme and stuff. He always was, someone with humor. He's a very funny person, but I didn't know that he has this talent. And so in the beginning, it was just to make fun, to be a bit more relieved of anxiety, and eventually it gave him so many ideas and perspective on marketing. So it's great since this summer to feel that it is the dream come true. Like really, I am in this mood now. Like it's the dream come true, and we have, both of us, I know that we have this ambivalence feeling, is that we are so excited, we want to work all the time, like, oh yeah, so many ideas, I want to do this, I want to do that all the time.
So before you wanted to work all the time because you were not making money, and now you want to work all the time because you are making money.
Exactly. Like, wow, it's great. There is a community of person who love the product, and people are relate to what we are creating, and we did not do this for nothing and stuff. And it's so
Does
exciting.
this affect your self-confidence? Let's say you are speaking with your friends, with your family. I know that Dagobert also in the beginning did a lot of kind of jokes with your father, right?
Yes, it is my father.
Is it easier for you now to go for dinner with your family and speak about it? Do you feel more confident?
I'm not sure that I feel more confident for the moment, because I realize that some of the people around us, and even sometimes close persons, are not, I don't know, they don't relate to it. They are not able to understand. So even if it works, they don't believe it. If it doesn't work, they say, well, I told you so. I told you so. So yeah, I'm just, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think with people who are not interesting to talk about this. And that's one of the things that I love with internet and the indie hacker community and the bootstrap community and everyone on Twitter, even if I'm not as much on Twitter as Dagobert, but is that we met and a lot of great people, with and people we can talk,
like-minded people.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like with you, we are talking about entrepreneurship, and you know what I'm talking about because
I
you're
totally,
living
I
this
totally
thing.
understand. Yeah,
You understand this, and it's so great it's so great to live this. Sometimes the close friends or family, they are not the best advisors or people you can talk to about what you are living. Because
I totally
they don't
relate to
understand.
that, and it's I feel like when people ask me nowadays what am I doing, I feel a bit, and if they are not entrepreneurs or bootstrappers, I feel a bit embarrassed to tell them, because and I always say to myself that if I, or when I make money, then things will change. But I'm a software developer, which is like it's a great profession nowadays. You can make so much money, and then now I guess a podcaster and a bootstrap. I know I also am doing so many stuff, like so many projects, that when people ask me, like, I don't know what to say, because I don't know if it's them or if it's me. Maybe I am the one that I'm embarrassed and I don't trust in myself, and I don't want to say that. I don't assume that I'm a podcaster and then fail, and then go back to my job and they'll be like, yeah, Tiago failed. Or if it's them. So in that regard, that's also why I created this little community. We have a virtual co-working space for bootstrappers with like a lot of people, and I'm basically working with them. And it's such an amazing atmosphere. I love it so much, and exactly because of what you just mentioned.
Yeah, I completely relate to what you are saying, and I don't know, like you said, I don't know if it's them or if it's us, but what I think is I'm sure that when you look at yourself in the mirror and you thought of what you are doing, you just love what you are doing. And when I talk with you, I just can I can see the potential, the energy, the passion, and
Mhm.
the greatness of what you are doing. You see, like when you meet someone on the internet, bootstrapper doing a great project, you think, oh, that's nice. It's gonna it you can see all the potential, and like, just like when you said before, somebody looking at code and say, oh, this is art.
Yeah.
You can see that it could be great, and it's not about just about money or success. This is this is very tricky, because what we are expecting as a success is sometimes something coming from us, from the inside, but
Mhm.
sometimes coming from what we think would look like a success for others, and what kind of others we are talking about.
Yeah.
And I think for my part, it was necessary that and it still is necessary for me to assume that I am not maybe the successful exact image of what my family, for example,
Yeah.
was expecting or imagining in the first place, or what
And
we.
what is that? What is
It's
that image?
Well, I think somebody with a salary from the first place, you know, somebody with a regular
That's the low.
money income would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like I'm older than Dagobert. I'm 40 actually, so I'm not. Yeah, I'm young, but you see, I'm not so young, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but maybe it's just a 40 feeling, and
Mhm.
like being old. But yeah, I don't earn that much money. But now I earn much more money, but not so much that I can make a living
Yeah.
for the moment. Just for the moment. Maybe the holidays in Miami are just for next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I didn't bought a house or an apartment. I don't have children. I don't have a ordinary classic life that my parents
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
because they are from another generation. They
Generation.
don't know
Yeah.
anything about this bootstrap or a community. For them,
Yeah.
it's what is this? It doesn't make sense to them. So I can understand their point of view, but
Yeah.
if they can't understand mine, then I think, well,
Shit. Yeah. I mean, I think you just touch a very important point here, and I'm
mm,
just thinking about it. Yeah. It's like what society. I'm not. I don't even think it's their fault or like others or like my
mm,
family. It's just like what society tells you
mm,
that it's the correct thing to do.
mm,
And
mm,
as an entrepreneur, you kind of get out of the boundaries of society, right? So you stop having the support of the state, right? You don't have
mm,
maybe
mm,
benefits and social benefits, etc. And
mm,
you don't have a steady salary as well. And I mean, it can be that you can make much more money than if you had a job, or it can also be that you don't. Like, we don't
yes,
know, and this uncertainty like makes me really nervous
mm,
sometimes, and
mm,
it makes me feel that I have like a timestamp. Like, after a while, I will have to eventually go back
mm,
to
yeah,
trying to fit in, let's say,
mm,
um, or not. I don't want to be honest. And in
yeah,
terms of
yeah.
purpose, I've never felt this much purpose in my life than before. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and I had the same reflections when I saw that logology was not going to be as easy as I thought, and I didn't have to be, and didn't I wouldn't have enough money to go on. Maybe I would have to work, to go back to freelance work. I
Hmm.
was very sad, and I felt, this sensation of failure, and
Yeah.
when you have people who doesn't understand you, and maybe the society, as you said, you feel that you are not really understood,
Yeah.
and plus you feel like you're failing in your dream. It's very hard, very hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that I can say is I think it would be even sadder,
Sadder.
even sadder. I never use sadder. I think it would be even sadder if you give up on your dream
Yeah.
inside. When I was thinking that maybe I will have to say goodbye to logology, and maybe it was just it didn't
Hmm.
work and we didn't have enough time enough and so on, I thought, okay, so I need a
Yeah.
plan. Maybe I will just go back to teaching, but I will live with not so much money and take the more time I can to do art, to create,
Yeah.
to write books. And even if I know that writing books is not going to make me
Yeah.
rich, but I would have this space for me to be happy in this
Exactly. That's
space.
the most
And
important thing, right?
yes, this is the most important. Recently, I'm just saying this because recently I met a friend of us who said to us, like he's just 30 years old, but he said to us that he felt like he doesn't have a dream anymore. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like everything is possible anymore.
Yeah.
Because, when you are 20 or 25, you think, wow, I can do this, I can do that, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world is
Yeah.
ahead, and just go on.
But then
But
society kicks in and tells you, okay, if you
yeah,
didn't manage until you are whatever 25 or
yeah,
30, now it's
yeah,
just get in line, right?
exactly,
Get a family, get
exactly.
children, buy a
Yes,
house. Now you have to do
ex-
it, and yeah, that's
exactly.
a lot of
And you
stress.
have
It's a
to,
lot of
yeah,
stress.
and you have to look like the people you see on the advertising on TV, with
Yeah.
white teeth and beautiful hairs, and just always happy with a bowl of cereals, you see.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's like hopefully, I think it's not real life, and we are not doomed to be consumers. Like in the ads,
Yeah.
we can still create our space of freedom and
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
invention and
Totally agree. Yeah.
creativity, and even if the society doesn't understand. And I think that even if logology would have failed, and even now I'm not sure it's going to be successful,
Hmm.
it's in the good way, and I hope so, and I feel that we can do things and it's
Hmm.
possible, but I'm not sure of it. I can't be
Yeah.
until it's happening. I know
Yeah.
that I would not let go myself, I would not abandon myself. And
Yeah.
it's funny because as I said that, I am in my studio, and I just in front of me I can see a big poster of Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
And Janis Joplin always said, don't compromise yourself. Don't compromise yourself. You're all that you've got. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understood this sentence
Up until now.
um, until now,
Yeah.
until I went through walking
Yeah.
to Mordor with Dagobert. Because I was a freelance, but between freelance and entrepreneurs, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I think this is
Exactly.
it's a beautiful conclusion, and that's something that I also came to realize, that I'm not my podcast, I am not my climate change app, and
Hmm.
you are not logology. We are
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, like we
Yes.
are bootstrappers, and it doesn't matter if it fails. It doesn't matter if we go back to freelancing or to a job,
Hmm.
because we will never stop being what we are, and that is entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
and uh,
Exactly.
and that's
Yeah.
what I've interviewed a lot of people now, and it's been a blessing in that sense, because I came up with a lot of realizations with my conversations. And one of my conversation I had a while ago with a friend of mine, his name is Christy, and he told me he
Hmm.
has his own company, agency, and he told me my plan B is to start over.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is no
Yeah.
plan B. The plan B is to basically start over and do it all over again, because that's why I am an entrepreneur. And I mean, that's what we
Yeah.
are. It's that's where
And
we will
it's,
always be.
yes, exactly. And it's like this realization that I spoke before, when we were talking about art, is that I realized that whatever is happening in my life or in this world or whatever, I need to have time to create and design
Yeah.
every day of every week. Even if just for 10 minutes or an hour or a day, I need this and I will do something about this because that's who am I, that's what I do. And it's not important what other people think
Hmm.
in the end, even if sometimes I feel sad because I think it's so natural that we want our family or friends attention and love. We just
Yeah.
are afraid not to be loved enough or anymore if we do
Hmm.
something different from what the society is waiting for us. But I think we can be happier not to
Definitely.
play a role and just, yeah, I think it's beautiful to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur. And when I'm saying this, I'm not sure I am an entrepreneur.
I mean, I've interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs, and I can tell you that you are an entrepreneur. I don't know
Oh,
if
wow.
it is also
Thank
not.
you, Thiago.
Like, I mean,
Thank
you can
you.
also. A lot of artists are actually entrepreneurs. To be honest,
Yes,
you don't need to
yes.
be a software developer or you know or marketeer to be an entrepreneur. You can be a painter. You can be a
Yeah,
musician, a
yeah.
writer to be an entrepreneur. And I think you
It's
are for sure.
true. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's true what you are saying in a way that I think that artists and entrepreneurs, they are sharing this same energy of pushing the limits, trying things, and going over and over to create. Like you said, even if this is not working, you will do something else because it's what you do. It's
Yeah.
how you are, how you functioning,
It's
and
even if you're working, and that happened to me so many times. I was working in other companies, and after a while I would always try to do my own thing within that company, always. I
yes,
didn't
I'm
even
sure.
mean to. It's just like it just happened, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and I think I think that even if it's not always seen as something great from the society, in the end, it's very precious. It's like a talent. It's like a
yeah,
power, a superpower.
yeah,
Like Superman or Spider Man. Entrepreneurship man. I don't know,
yeah,
but
definitely,
yeah.
definitely,
Uh,
definitely.
and it would be sad not
Yeah,
to do something of
and I
it.
think the most beautiful thing in life is when people do what they are passionate about.
Hmm.
So, and like this applies to anything. If you can
Yes.
sell bread, you can be a mechanic, you can be an engineer.
Mm-mm.
Like if you're truly passionate about what you're doing, about your craft, it's
Mm.
always it's contagious. People will understand, and people will be happy for you, and they want to be next to you because you are passionate about what you're doing. You are a happy person, and I think this will also eventually happen with the ones around you,
Mm.
because if you show them like, okay, we are happy, this is what I want to do, and
Mm.
that's my passion. I mean, everyone will, and this will be contagious, and this will
Mm.
motivate others. I think that happened to me a lot of times, that people
Mm.
said like, Tiago, because of your motivation and your passion, I'm also passionate to do this and start that. And
Yeah.
that's for me, that's the biggest compliment when
That's
this
nice.
happens. And I think that the same things will happen
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, thank you, Thiago. I'm sure. I think you're right. I think one of the good thing of doing what you love is that you also meet the right people. You meet the people who resonate with you, and
Yeah,
we at this time you can have some wonderful meetings. Since we create Logology, we've met so many great people, and
yeah,
we are
yeah,
just looking for to travel a little bit and go and say hi to everyone. Because when you are with the people who are nurturing you, you are nurturing each other. So that's
yeah.
the bright side of life, and unfortunately, life is very short. I think I think it's too short.
Yeah.
I would like. I
Let's
would
go.
love.
Let's not go there, Lucy.
No, but you
This will
see, I
be
would
very
love to.
dark now.
No, it's not. It's not dark. I don't think it's dark. It's more like you can think of this and think, well, life is too short, and we're all gonna die, and of course, yeah. But if you look on the other side of this idea, it's like life is short, so we can do whatever we
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
our time, and we
yeah,
are alive in the same time together, and we can just express
yeah.
this need, this want of living, and in this want of living there is the passion of
Hmm.
getting up in the morning to do a podcast like you are doing, or for me designing a logo or writing a book. It's like
Hmm.
it's just the small things that makes me
Yeah,
happy, and yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's definitely a very good motto to live by.
yeah.
And I like how this conversation turned out to be much more deeper and philosophical, and I'm like kind of shaking just by talking about it. But I like it. This is really cool. And I'm sure a lot of people will give me the feedback that maybe this even motivated them to follow this path and career path. So that's really nice. And so just to kind of conclude here our
Mhm.
conversation, what are your things you're looking for in both in logology and your own personal projects? What are the things you're looking for in the future?
Time. I would say I always want more time, and I'm
Uh,
looking for time that I will have to add new logos for logology. I don't know why I want to add so much logology, so much logos on our catalog. And Dagobert is saying to me, wait, we need to do maybe this before or maybe
marketing.
that. And I'm just like, I want 1,000 logo. I want 1,000 logos. So I can do this. I have so many sketches and so many ideas. And I also want to create a, a, a brand identity guideline
Hmm.
plus plus. So that's what I want to do with logology. I wish we'll be able to make enough revenue in
Hmm.
the months to come to be more, I would say, relaxed,
Yeah,
because
yeah. I'm
and
excited
it,
to witness what
yeah.
will happen as well from your
Oh,
side.
nice. Thank you,
Um,
Thiago, for your
and
support. That means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Dago, to us. It's so precious.
yeah,
I don't know how we would have done without the support of the community,
yeah.
and today
But I
I'm
think
so
you also
happy
give
to.
back quite a lot, and I had a conversation today with Dago a little bit actually about that. I think you
Great,
also give back a lot to the community. I think that's also very important. I think that's also why
great.
people like you so much, because you give back a lot. I think that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I will link everything in the description, but you
Mhm,
have two books. They are in French,
mhm.
only French so
Yes.
far, right?
Yes, so far only in
Yeah.
French. Yeah.
So it's Looking for Janice, and then the other one is The Black Dog.
Yes,
At
the
least
black
that's
dog.
The
Le
Black Dog.
chien noir en français. Yes, the black dog.
And
Mm-mm.
your radio show, also in French, is on
Yes.
SoundCloud, um,
Yes, on Spotify
on
and
Spotify too.
Deezer and Apple
Ah,
Podcast.
perfect.
Yes, on
Perfect. I will
Spotify
link
too.
everything in the description,
Nah, thank you.
together with, of course, Logology, so that people can also go and check it out. And I really advised, even if you're not looking for a logo, just do the survey, because it's really fun
Mhm.
to do, and it's really interesting to see what are the results. So I really advise everyone to do that. Thank you very much,
Thank you, Thiago. Thank
Lucy,
you very
for your
much,
time.
Thiago. It was such a
Yeah.
pleasure to have this chat with you.
If you like this conversation and you want to know more about logology now from Dagobert's side, you can check the interview I did with him. I don't recall now the number, but I will just link in the description and you can go and check it out. And there's also many other cool interviews for you to listen to. Besides that, we have our virtual co-working space for bootstrappers. Lucy now will also get an invite to join. By the way, every person that I interview gets an automatic invite. And if you want to join as a member, you can also support this podcast and join this virtual co-working space. And it's €4 per month. And you can join us. And I'm looking forward to see you there. And this was another interview. This was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you next time.